Hello, everyone. I'm Sheriff Wayne Ivey, and welcome to another exciting episode of On the Go with BCSO. We got some exciting stuff lined up for you. As always, I got my main man, Jay Martinez, here with me. Jay, what's up, dog? How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Good to be here again.
So we've had some great episodes before. We've talked about everything from active shooters to our fugitive unit and what to do in a traffic stop, training, all this. Today is one of my favorite topics, though. We got one of our managers, Noel Emillard's with us, and he not only manages all of our farm operations and everything else, but one of his big deals that he has under his watch is our chain gang. So, Noel, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And the chain gang is very near and dear to my heart, and you get enough phone calls from me about it. So, tell me a little bit about it. I know we're actually the only agency in the state of Florida that has an actual chain gang. And,
right now in the nation, there's only 2 states that even have chain gangs, and that would be Arizona and us.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing something right.
Yeah, we are. We are. So.
Well, the chain gang, they're all of them obviously meet a certain classification so that they can go outside the facility and work. But we use them in all sorts of different capacities, right?
We do everything from picking up trash on the side of the road to going down to the shelters and walking dogs. We do some painting for municipalities and sandbags.
Yeah, man, what a big help they were. And I think that's something that's important to point out is the individuals that are on the chain gang, they're actually being part of something very productive, right. and it has a great return effect on them.
It does. It gives them a sense like they're repaying society for what they've done.
Yeah. So, Jay, my favorite thing is when I'm driving down the road and I see the big diamond sign that says this highway is adopted by the Sheriff's Chain Gang, man. I love that.
So with the stripes, tell me the story about the stripes. I'm not sure who came up with the stripes, but...
Well, we've had the stripes at the jail for a long time for all the trustees that go out to work, and it goes way, way back to the old chain gangs.
Yeah.
When they actually had the chains and they were all chained together with a ball and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just goes back that far. It's like a tradition.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you pointed out when they were all chained together. We don't do that anymore. They don't chain them together because if God forbid something happened where one of them got hit by a car or one of them fell into a deep ditch or something, then it takes everybody. So they're individually chained. They're chained at the ankles.
Yep, they're chained at the ankles. They're not shackles. They're actual chains with a padlock on them.
Wow. Yeah. So how does someone get into? Is that something that you pick someone to go to?
Actually, they volunteer. Everybody that's on chain gang is volunteered.
Wow.
We don't go. We don't force anybody to do it. They do it because they want to do it. They want to do something for society. It makes them feel good. Yeah. They feel productive. So
you probably should just volunteer to work here. Make you feel better.
That's right.
That's just what I do.
So let's not go into that right now. It's not important. So they volunteer to be on it. And last I knew, now maybe it's changed, but we have a waiting list of
We do. I think our waiting list is about 15 right now.
Yeah. So the benefits for them is not only they getting out of the facility, but they're being involved in some very productive and positive different things. And one of my favorite things that we use them for, in addition to the manual labor side of it, and they're out there doing manual labor. We had the fish kills here in Brevard County.
That's right.
We sent them to all the parks to clean up all the dead fish and stuff. And
that was brutal.
I felt bad for them, but they all worked and they all got the job done and stuff. But we use them also in our It's Time to Be a Parent Again program. And in our band program, as you all know.
Yeah.
And tell me how that works.
The Time to Be a Parent, that's totally, you do a great job at that. It's totally unscripted. You don't know what these guys are going to say. Sometimes it's just funny. Sometimes it's from their heart.
Yeah.
I really believe that helps them out.
Yeah. And, when the parents are sitting there and they're asking them questions about essentially what can I do to keep from my child from being in the same place you're in right now? The inmates themselves, the chain gang members, have to rethink it, what mistakes they made, and I think that rethought process kind of helps them auto-correct, if you will, or they kind of coach themselves out of doing it again.
And mind you, the questions that are asked, stuff that you've already talked to, the inmates don't get to see the whole presentation. They only get when we bring them in at the end.
Right.
And what you've told the parents, now they're telling the parents. Totally unscripted.
Yeah. One of the big takeaways for me, and it was probably the second or third time we did it, A parent, a lot of times when they first come in, I'll ask them, how long you been in jail, how many times you've been arrested, that type of thing. And they always, say, well, I've been arrested 5 times. And they'll talk in their conversations about how this is it. They're not coming back. And one of the parents in one of the very first programs we did said, you've been arrested 5 times. What's different? And the answer from that, and I think it has great value to share that. The answer that they got from the inmates was, this is the first time I've actually had to sit in jail. Every other time I got bonded right out. I got probation. I got double secret probation. I got community control.
Right.
And this is the first time that all of those failed and led up to. And most of the inmates will tell you that they would never take paper again. They would, instead of taking probation, they would do their time straight up, and that it'll fix it. And the parents walk away going, my kid gets arrested, I'm going to let him sit in jail for a little bit, let him get a tast of what they've earned.
Get a taste of that food.
Yeah, that
bologna
food.
Sandwiches.
The food's, I think we were voted worst in the country with our food, which I'm very proud of.
I think it costs 72 cents a day to feed them.
No, it's much cheaper than that. It's much cheaper than that. So tell me how their day goes. What happens?
We wake them up. We get woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to eat breakfast. We let them go back to bed. Wake them up again at 6 because we're at the door ready to pick them up to go out to work. We take them out. Whatever we have planned for that day, whether it's painting or picking up trash on the side of the road or down at the shelter cleaning, the kennels or walking the dogs. We take them down there wherever we go. We feed them where they're at. And we put them back to work right after we feed them. And then probably around 2:30, we bring them back to the jail. And they get searched, go through, and that's their day.
Yeah, so every time they come back into that facility, they're being completely searched.
Completely.
No way to bring contraband in.
We have a body scanner they go through so we can catch all kinds of contraband
that's pretty
in.
new, right?
It is pretty new.
Okay.
It is pretty new. And,
did
it does a good
that
job.
cost us money?
It didn't cost us any money.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
But it does what it's supposed to do. We're not getting as much contraband in there as like we used to. It's just harder for them to hide things.
Right, yeah.
So they, and I know I see a lot of times on Facebook, people will send us locations for them to come clean up. And so, maybe under the causeway on 528 or whatever it is, and we send them out. And some of the value that comes from this is they go into an area that's just completely destroyed, trashed, everything else. And when they leave, they can look back on that and see the change they've made in it. And even though it's hard work and it's hard, out there, they're still seeing they're making a difference. And I think that has a very positive outcome.
Yeah, they are. I remember when we first started the chain gang, we went into a homeless camp. It was bad. It was a mess. I told them, I went in there. They didn't want us there. They don't want the police there. So I told them, look, here's some garbage bags. You guys take your trash and put it out there. We ain't going to bother you. They still to this day are doing that. And that was back in 2013 when we did that.
Yeah.
So to this day, they still put their trash out there for somebody to pick up.
Yeah. We started, you said in 2013, that's when we first started the chain gang. And it was actually one of the first things that I did when I became sheriff, because as a kid, I tell folks that the chain gang serves as a deterrent to those that are thinking about committing a crime. And I can speak to that from my own personal experience of when I was a kid growing up. I remember distinctly looking out the window of our house and seeing the chain gang out in the ditch with the slings and everything else, cutting the ditch down. And I made a mental note, I do not want to ever do that. And so, it serves as a deterrent that way. And we have parents that'll stop on the side of the road with their kids and say, here you go. This is where you're headed if you don't get straight or if you get off path. And
And the chain gang, they do an excellent job at everything they do. They go out there, they do it, they take pride in it, and that's what we instill into them. We treat them paramilitary.
Right.
Their bunks, when we go in there to wake them up, they got to get up, they got to make those bunks just like they were in boot camp.
Yeah, we had our band program recently, and that's one of the first things we teach the kids is how to make your bunk. Mm-hmm. And we have the chain gang come out and show them, and just the conversations they have while they're making that bunk. We had an age difference between a youth in the program that was 16 and someone on the chain gang who was 18. And he said when he looked into the eyes of that 18-year-old and saw himself 2 years later doing that, he said he was never come back to jail after that. So
and they come away with that. They know what they've done.
Yeah,
they know they've gotten to that kid, or they hopefully what they've said to the kid is going to help out and not put them in that position.
And I think the biggest indicator of that the program is working because our ultimate goal in law enforcement is to lower our crime rate, keep people safe, and in doing so, lower the recidivism rate in the jail. And I know for a long time, the recidivism rate in the Brevard County Jail for male inmates was 43%. So 43 out of every 100 were coming back to jail. Now, the exception to that was on the chain gang. And for a long time, it was zero. And now I think it's like 19% or
19%. And I think that attributes to all the drugs and the heroin and the opiates. And,
right.
But people get hooked on that and they don't want to get off.
But even figuring you've cut it in half, you've cut that recidivism rate in half through that program, that's a telling sign of exactly how effective the program is.
Correct.
From it. So now they go down to the shelter, to the animal care center, and they walk the dogs down there.
Yeah, they love doing that. They love doing that.
Yeah, and they clean the kennels.
They clean the kennels.
They pressure clean them or power clean them every day. Yep. And I know we had one of our inmates that got nipped on the finger by a little ankle biter, and I happened to see him the next day, and I said, "Hey man, you're right." And he goes, "Hey, I'll take that all day long. Between if my other option is to sit in the jail, I'll take that." So
it gives them something to do. It gives them a purpose.
Right.
And a lot of times when people sit in jail with nothing to do, they just don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
They got no reason to care.
Yeah, and you can tell when they you see them moving from one place to another. You got them in lines. They're marching. I think they even have a little cadence.
They
sing.
do.
And to see that's pretty neat. You can tell they're real proud to be in that unit right there. Almost like the like the elite of the group. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, and you figure they're on a waiting list.
They are on the waiting list.
So, and they also know that if they don't do right, if they're not following the rules and the procedures, they're out because somebody else is waiting to take their slot.
And the chain gang, they're like the go-to people. When we need something done like now, pick up the phone, call the chain gang. They're there. Yeah. They get it done.
So what's some of the other projects that they've worked on?
Let's see. They're getting ready to go down and assist with Malabar Fire Department, painting their building. Let's see. They do that. Of course, the trash. Halloween Trail. When we did our Halloween Trail, they did most of the work out there for it, the Haunted Jail Trail. Of course, sandbagging.
Let's talk about sandbags for a minute because before I became sheriff, I did not realize how big a deal sandbags are. But
it's huge.
Anytime we have a hurricane that's kind of brewing out there or starting to look like it's coming our way, we go into sandbag mode. And,
we do.
The first couple of years, we only had one location.
Correct.
And that was at the our facility off of Plucky Bomb, the farm there off of Plucky Bomb. And people were waiting sometimes 5-6 hours.
Yeah, sometimes longer than that.
Yeah, to get 10 sandbags, And,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
The chain gangs are the one that's doing all of that manual labor and loading it up. And I've noticed we've kind of evolved a little bit because we went from shovels to now we use the chain gang to build devices and stuff.
We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And plus now we've gone from one location, central location, to three. Actually, no, 4, because we did one in West Melbourne and Palm Bay last time too. So
yes, we did.
So Merritt Island, Titusville, the Plucky Bomb location, and then actually we had 5 because we had the church in Viera.
We did, and at the jail at night.
Yeah, people
they
would
were
come by
doing sandbags at night.
And so it was a 24-hour.
It was a 24-hour.
Oh wow, they're filling bags in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was constant. Any idea during the last 2 storms, just Irma or Matthew, what was the ratio of sandbags that we filled?
I think I don't have the exact numbers, but I think we did well over 100,000 bags.
Yeah, so for one storm. Yeah.
Believe me, Road and Bridge, they hated us because we were constantly calling
for more sand and bags.
Yeah.
Now, the kicker was that during the last storm, the crew that was up in Titusville was an all-ladies crew.
Yes.
And they're not on the chain gang. They're just one of our work crews. And the ladies crew outperformed the chain gang and the other crew by miles. I mean, it was bad. It was So
it sure did.
Yeah, it was pretty. And of course, we would take that and go to the other sites and go, man, the ladies are killing you guys up there. They're loading more and building more and everything else. So.
Yeah, we were out there at the station in Viera, and they were filling bags, as folks were coming up. And I think you came in with this trailer just full of bags that had been made the night before, and the eyes, that they open up like, oh, finally,
got a break because it was constant. It was just constantly filling bags and putting them in cars.
Yeah, exactly. So now, what What kind of feedback do you get from them when they're either getting off the chain gang or they're still rotating in and everything? What kind of feedback do you get?
Fortunately, I don't get to see them when they're leaving because they get released at night, so I don't really get to see them when they're released. But every one of them I've ever actually talked to, no, I'm not coming back. I don't want to do this again. I really don't. I learned something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and that's the whole focus of it is to have.
Well, we give them a little pride. Yeah. Give them a little pride and respect, and now it works.
Yeah. It works. I think most people they drive by and they think, oh, those poor souls are out there they don't realize that they are getting an opportunity to be outside the jail, which inside the jail, man, minutes tick by very slowly. Outside you're busy and you're involved and stuff.
And you're talking about the females. Right now, the females are doing all the oyster shells for the lagoon.
Oh, yeah. So if you haven't been out to see that yet, we're trying to help the Brevard Zoo is trying to help with the filtering of the lagoon. Okay. And so we make oyster blankets, and we use inmate labor to make the oyster blankets. And you sent me a number the other day.
Today it's at 7,300.
7,300 blankets, bags that they've put together. Yes. And so there's a process to that. The restaurants, all of our local seafood restaurants, collect all of the oyster shells. Yeah. We go pick them up, bring them in. They have to dry out and
90 days. They have to dry out for 90 days before we can bag them.
Yeah, and then the gnats and mosquitoes and everything else eat all the substance out of it. Yeah, and then we bag them up, and then they go put them off people's docks and everything else. Put them off
people's docks, and I think there's certain parts of the county where they're actually going and just laying them out.
But again, that's free labor. And I know one time we had a figure of the chain gang was saving the taxpayers about $175,000
just in
a
the
year.
Trash pickup.
Yeah, just in the trash
pickup.
Yeah. So now let's shift gears. The chain gang obviously is exclusive to themselves and what they do and how they operate. But you also have under your charge the farm.
I do.
Out there.
I do.
A lot of people drive by it out on 95 and see it out there. And tell me a little bit about that. What do we do out there?
Well, we grow vegetables for the jail. We've done potatoes. We've done radishes. Right now, we have corn planted out there. It's an experiment. We're not sure if it's going to take or not, but we have corn planted out there. Yeah.
I feel a lot better about that.
Yeah, and we got cucumbers growing out there right now. But we grow, send us to the jail to save the taxpayers money, feed the inmates. The farm also takes care of most of the county buildings. We mow all that.
Oh,
the county buildings.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that's another significant savings because I want to say before we took over the mowing and landscaping for the county buildings, the county was expending about $225,000 a year to private contractors to do it. So we took it over with the labor force out there. Yeah. And
they do an excellent job. And we also got the bike program we do out there.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that, the bike program. Each year we give away about 1,000 bicycles to anything from homeless vets to kids in need at Christmas time to somebody that just needs the bike to get back and forth to work.
If somebody needs a bike and they got a valid reason why they need a bike, we'll give them a bike.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're refurbished. They're not brand new or anything.
Right.
But they get a bike. They got transportation.
Right. And we partner a little bit. We have some partners on that. Who partners with us?
ABC.
ABC Home Builders. Yeah,
Home
Christmas
Builders.
time.
They partner with us on it. Walmart. Yeah. And they all do an excellent job. They take care of everything we need. When we need money to go buy bikes, ABC steps up to the plate and takes care of it.
Yeah, actually, ABC does a fundraiser every year to the Home Builders Association. They do a fundraiser every year to help us fund that program. And the kids not only get a bicycle, they get a helmet and a bike lock.
A lock.
Yeah, to go with it. So, you're talking about 1,000 bicycles a year. I'll tell you another big partner we have, or I know they used to be, and I think they still are, is FIT.
Yes.
At the end of
we just picked up 178 bikes from them.
Yeah. So at the end of each semester, the students leave their bikes behind, and so they pick them up and bring them to us, and that helps us out tremendously. Now at the farm, we work A-tippers.
We do.
What are A-tippers?
It's an alternative program, so they don't have to go to jail. If they have jobs, they're not losing their jobs. They come to work at the farm, and then they go home every night. When they come to the farm, we treat them as if they are an inmate in jail.
Right. So they drive up there themselves.
They drive up themselves.
They put on the green and white.
Green and white, and then we send them out to work.
Right.
They'll work on the farm, or if we got a project going on somewhere, something needs pressure wash or something, a building, we'll send them out to pressure wash buildings.
So you're saying this is an alternative for them to do serve hours on the weekend, so they can keep their
Correct.
day job.
So they don't have to go to jail.
Yeah, it's an alternative to incarceration program.
Right.
Okay.
All right. It's saving the county money actually, because we're not having to house them, we're not having to feed them. Right. We do feed them lunch when they're with us, but that's the only meal we feed.
Do they get the same bologna sandwiches?
They do. They do.
You can't escape that bologna, man.
No, that stuff's good, man. I mean,
hey, I've eaten it. I like it.
Yeah. All right, that scares me. I'm not going to eat it. So, one of the things that we were dealing with before is there was a span of time where our judges were giving people weekends in the county jail.
Correct.
And the consensus is that creates a host of problems for us. The minute that person steps in our jail on a Friday night, we're now having to provide that person any medications they take. We're having to feed them. We're having to process them in, process them out, search them to make sure they don't have contraband and everything else. So we actually met with our judges and asked them to, instead of giving people weekends when they could, to give them hours at the farm. It helps us with production. It helps us not have to utilize all of our resources at the jail. So it's a win-win across the board. And as Noel said, we're now looking at somebody that's got a job that can come in and work their hours off on Saturday and Sunday and not impact their job. Or they can come in on Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's say they work Saturday and Sunday. They come in on Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right. Yeah, it's a great program, really.
Yes. Now, out of the farm, out of all the stuff, I know we do lettuce. I know we do cucumbers. We're experimenting with corn. So, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but he didn't sound real positive.
No, we were given some seeds. So we don't
even know if it's corn. I'm scared to know what corn's out there. So
corn's come from seeds.
Like corn. Stop.
Popcorn.
Stop.
Grown popcorn.
Stop.
I couldn't work out there.
Yeah. So no, that's why you're not out there. Out of everything that we've grown out there, what's the thing we need the most in the jail?
Potatoes.
Okay.
Potatoes is the highest cost for the jail.
So we use potatoes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything out there.
They do.
All right, and I know we've done a couple yields of them out there. How many pounds are we bringing in?
The first year we brought in 18,000 pounds, and last year we were just a little below 10,000. And that was because we had the major flood after the hurricanes.
Right. Oh, yeah, that place was a pond out there.
Exactly. So it was flooded out, so the nutrients aren't there.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
The only thing we could have grown out there for probably, 6 or 8 months was like cranberries or something like that.
Rice. Good fish farm.
We had fish swimming in the fields.
Yeah, definitely. So you've been with the agency how long?
It'll be 30 years this year.
30 years. What all have you done in your time here?
I actually worked in the kitchen. That's how I originally got hired with the Sheriff's Department. And then went to the academy. I've been a pod officer in the jail. I've been an FTO. I've been a corporal. And now I'm at where I'm at.
Yeah. So, and what's it like going to work every day out there? Is it cool?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, always something different, right?
I love it. Everything's you got to tackle something new every day.
Yeah, and if you for our listeners out there, if you see our floats in the Christmas parade or 4th of July parade, the farm team builds the floats and everything out there.
Speaking of building, we also do the lifeguard stands.
Oh yeah, the lifeguard
stands for the lifeguards.
Yeah. All of that's done with inmate labor too.
It is.
So again,
they provide the materials, and we do the manual labor.
Yeah, we've got a new project coming up that I've been working with one of our commissioners on. Building covered benches for the bus stops, and I haven't sprung that on you yet. We'll get to that later. Don't worry about that. So.
That's what I mean. You come to work every day to tackle a new project.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to interrupt the corn, or anything like that. So, no, we appreciate everything you do out there, man. Your team, I can't say enough about all of them out there. When you look at what our lead crews do out there, our labor crews, even to during Police Memorial Week, putting up thousands of flags at the Police Hall of Fame. It's pretty impacting to see the money they save this community.
Usually, if there's a big event going on in Brevard County, somehow, some way.
Yeah.
the farms
Yeah.
involved in it.
And that's another great point, because I know for a lot of our charitable organizations, if they've for example, if they're using Wickham Park, when they're done with their event, we take the chain gang in and clean it up. To put it back just like it was, so that people can go use it and everything. So, well, no, I don't have to tell you this, because I tell you all the time. Well, I fire you a lot of times, and then you just come to work the next day.
Keep coming back for free.
I know, yeah. So I appreciate that, but I know I don't have to tell you, but man, I appreciate everything you and your team do out there, and it's pretty amazing to see. A lot of people don't get to see the behind the scenes stuff that you guys do, but just know that you're well appreciated in this community, and your team does a great job. So
appreciate
Jay, man, time went by quick. So
it flies by.
Yeah, so we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time on the Go with BCSO.